get inspired, everybody. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Life Inspired. This is a program where we talk about how and why people are following God and maybe a turning point that He's done in their lives. Your life was going along, and there was a ... moment that He said, hello, and He said, I want you to come walk this path instead. And so you have a turning point, and now you're walking this path that is so inspiring. And so we love for you to share these programs. You can watch them from our YouTube channel. If you would subscribe, that'd be great. From our Facebook page, if you would like it, that would be great. And you can also watch it from lifeinspiredshow.com. And those are ways that you can share. We are going to hear today, socially distanced, from my friend Melanie Garcia from St. Joe County Right to Life. But you guys aren't St. Joe County Right to Life anymore. Now it's Michiana Right to Life, right? So welcome, Melanie. We're glad to have you.
Glad to be on, Diane.
Absolutely. So tell me, I don't really know what story. I know the great things that you guys are doing there. I was able to view the virtual dinner that y'all had instead of having the regular dinner. You had that virtual dinner in October for your annual banquet, and that was excellent. I really loved the speaker. Mr. Jones. I can't remember his first name now, but anyway, he was great. And but I understand you've got some personal turning point stories that you're going to share with us today, and I don't know what those are. So if you could kind of maybe give us a little backstory and then tell us your ... moment where God kind of turned you, and then what's the new path that He's got you walking. I would love to hear the whole thing.
Yeah. So I've been involved with Right to Life Michiana literally for my whole life. When my mom was pregnant with me, she would take me to pray at the George Clougher abortion clinic. And
Wow.
she would take me to protests and events throughout my whole life. I first started hearing the call, I think, from God that I had a bigger role to play in the pro-life movement when I was in high school. I attended Right to Life's annual benefit dinner, the one that was virtual this year. And the speaker was Scott Klusendorf, who's a famous pro-life apologist. And I was sitting at a table with a bunch of high school students. Somebody had sponsored us, so we were able to go for free. And Scott shared the story of Emmett Till. Emmett Till was a young black man in the South who was murdered for harmlessly flirting with a white store clerk. And at his funeral, his mom insisted on having an open casket funeral, even though everyone told her that was a hard idea because his body was really difficult to look at because he had been so brutally murdered. And so Scott showed the picture of the open casket, which was extraordinarily moving and difficult to see. And then he showed pictures of the aftermath of abortion. And I'd been pro-life my whole life, but I'd never seen the extent of the destruction that abortion does to a human life. And I remember sitting there at the table and just weeping. I think I had to leave. Wow. I was so moved. So that was, I think, the first seed that Jesus planted in my heart that I needed to do something to end this injustice. I went into college with other career plans. I wanted to be a librarian. Clearly, I still really love books. And I majored in English with the hopes of maybe even going to grad school after that. But God definitely had different plans for me. When I was in college, I was part of a Catholic fellowship. I'm a practicing Catholic. And one day at a meeting, the leader said, I really want to restart the pro-life group on campus. But I personally can't do it, so I'm looking for officers to lead this. And as soon as he brought that up, I instantly felt like this was something that God wanted me to do, was to restart this club on IUSB's campus. But it wasn't something really that I wanted to do. IUSB is a very liberal campus. I had most of my professors were very liberal and my friends, and I was afraid about how that would affect my relationship with them. Me taking a very public stand on this issue. My parents were also concerned about my safety for doing a club like that. So I didn't end up taking any steps to lead that club. And it's still something I regret today because I feel like it was what God wanted me to do. But luckily, He definitely gives us second chances. So I ended up graduating and I was looking for a full-time job throughout the summer. And I was getting kind of irritated because I had a lot of experience, I had a really good resume, I had a high GPA. I was kind of like, God, why are you not giving me the job I deserve right now? But finally, one day I was messing around on Facebook and the position popped up for program manager at Life Michiana. And I knew at that moment, exactly, this is exactly what God wanted me to do. So I applied within 5 minutes of the job being open, and they responded right away, essentially saying they were going to give me the position. So I definitely felt like I followed God's call there, but I still had caveats. I had met my my now fiance at a Right to Life event, and we were blessed with a very beautiful relationship. And I told him that, okay, well, I'm waiting for you to graduate for these 3 years. I'll work for the Right to Life movement. I know we want to give back to the movement that brought us together, but I'll work there for I'll do my time. I'll do 3 years, but at the end of that, I'll take a job that makes more money. Maybe I'll go to grad school, do something more what I really want to do. But as I've worked more and more in the movement, I've come to realize that that is definitely not the path that God wants me to take. I can't think of a specific moment. It's definitely been a discernment process that he's led me around. I think if I could point to anything specific, it was when the abortion facility opened in South Bend. Up until that point, the work I'd been doing had been pretty conceptual. But going out to the clinic definitely hits home just the destruction that abortion does to women and children and families. I remember one time in particularly, it was the second day I was out there. I was praying out there with my fiance, and we were praying the rosary. For your non-Catholic viewers, the rosary is essentially a meditation on instances in Jesus's life from scripture. And we were meditating on the mystery of the Annunciation, which is when Jesus became incarnate in the womb of Mary. And I remember it just hitting me at that moment exactly just how destructive abortion was, because we had this beautiful moment in history where Jesus comes into existence as a tiny little zygote. I mean, and even I, working in the pro-life movement, have sometimes a hard time emotionally thinking of a tiny unborn child as the same as an adult. But at that moment, I realized that these children who were dying today, they were the same size as Jesus was when he first started out. And I remember weeping then too. So I think that I started out my high school and college career as wanting to do something for myself. I think that that's kind of what the cultural push is for people, is to find a job that makes you happy and makes money. But Jesus has definitely led me to realize that my life isn't about me. It's not about making me happy. It's about serving him and his children. Are there things I'd rather be doing? Yes. But at the end of my life, it's not going to matter whether I made myself happy or made a lot of money. It's going to matter how many children he used me to save, how many women I was able to help through his guidance. So I feel very blessed to have a job where I'm able to serve him and serve those who need me the most.
That's awesome. Very cool. So a lot of times I like to ask people how they stay inspired on a daily basis. What is it that you do to stay connected to him? Because clearly you know him well. So what is it that you do on a daily basis? How do you stay in touch with him and hear his voice? How do you know that it was him that was telling you, I want you to go do this?
Yeah, so I've always been a pretty devout Christian. Like, I didn't have what I hear from so many of my friends, that period in their life where they kind of left the church during college. But I think before I started this job, I was kind of a comfortable Christian. Like, I kind of did the bare minimum, but I wasn't really focused on cultivating a relationship with him. But now that I have this job, and I encounter spiritual darkness on such a close level, wow. I've felt an extreme need to just throw myself on his grace daily. One of the things that's actually helped a lot is so many churches streaming their services on because of COVID.
Right.
So it's really helped me to sanctify my day and stay close to him on a day-to-day basis. Like I'll stream daily mass in the morning while I'm working. I'll stream a prayer service every day in the afternoon. I try to go to daily mass really frequently. What really helps me stay connected is just constant prayer making room for prayer several times a day on a day-to-day basis. That really sustains my spirit and keeps me close to him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. So I know, I mean, like, I've told people of friends who have gone through abortion and the pain that they've felt afterwards, that I just feel like it's so much bigger than saving the babies. It's about saving the moms, oftentimes the dads, the speaker. What was Jason Jones? Is that was his name? Yeah, his story about how his first child had been aborted by the grandfather, had made his girlfriend go and have an abortion, and he was devastated, just devastated, as was she, and her body was mutilated, and now she's not been able to have other children. It's so horrific. It's just so much worse, and I feel like our society just makes it like it's the only choice. You know, a woman is unexpectedly pregnant. There are three choices. She can have and keep the baby, she can have the baby and give it up for adoption, or she can have an abortion in America today. And they make it like those other two choices are just so hard and this one's easy. Baloney. It is so hard. Abortion is such a hard choice, and our society makes it sound like that's the only choice or that's the easy choice, and it's not easy either. There are three hard choices, you know. So my prayer is for unwanted children to be wanted. You know, if we could just pray for that and pray for the, you know, the families that that they wouldn't have to deal with such pain. It's just so painful. I mean, the stuff that Jason talked about in his presentation this couple weeks back or whenever it was. Yeah, it's just, I hate the pain. I hate to see that many people in pain.
Yeah. When I grew up in a very conservative Catholic family, and I didn't really know anyone who had been hurt by abortion in any way, really, until I started working for Right to Life Michiana. But now I have close friends who are volunteers and I've seen the emotional scars that abortion leaves, that even after walking through healing and meeting Christ, there's still terrible wounds. I mean, I've had days where I've been trying to counsel someone on Facebook not to commit suicide because she felt regret after an abortion.
Wow.
Um, and I remember when I was doing outreach in Florida with an organization called Created Equal, a girl came up to me and she was like, "Oh, I'm not sure how I feel about abortion." But we had a long conversation. She finally admitted that her friend had had an abortion a year ago, and she had just absolutely never been the same. And she didn't know where to turn for healing because the kind of main cultural discourse is that abortion is a social good, shout your abortion. I mean, how does seeing a billboard that says that say to a woman who's just suffering deeply from an abortion? It completely invalidates their pain. So definitely working full time in the movement has just hit home again and again, just how destructive abortion is to everybody it touches, not just the babies.
Right, right. Well, we thank you so much for what you do. I'm just so grateful. If you guys have any interest in getting to know Melanie more, I know that she would meet you for coffee. You could do a Zoom if that's what it takes, or you know, have a Facebook conversation with her. But yeah, we'd love to get you in contact with Right to Life. And I forgot his name. You call him My Precious. What's his name? Chester?
Yes.
Chester. We're we're glad Chester could come and visit too. And yeah, so if you want to get in touch and find out how you can either pray for, you know, either side. If you want to pray for those that are pro-life, if you want to pray for those that are pro-choice, it doesn't matter. People need prayer. And so if you want to be a prayer volunteer or a service volunteer or a donor to Right to Life, anything like that, we'd love to put you in contact with Melanie and the programs that they're doing. And I know you've got something coming up in December, a gala, right? A virtual and a little bit in-person gala kind of a thing coming up. Is that right?
That's actually for Indiana, Right to Life. Um,
Oh, okay. So that's in Indianapolis.
yeah.
Got it.
Thank goodness
Okay, cool.
our
Very
dinner
cool.
is done.
Well, yeah, I was surprised when I got that, and I was thinking it was yours. I was like, we just had that. What's so cool? That's in Indianapolis. Okay, great. Well, anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you know somebody that needs to tell their story about how and why they're following Christ, we would love to tell their story too. So find us on YouTube, subscribe, find us on Facebook and like it, and find us on lifeinspiredshow.com. Thank you guys, and have a great week. Thank you, Melanie. Bye-bye.